They don't respect you because they don't fear you. If no one fears you, you don't matter. Not in their decisions, not in their loyalty, not in their mind. You're just their safe, soft, and optional. That's the hard truth no one tells. The absence of fear is the death of respect. You were told to be kind. You were told to be patient. You were told to be understanding. And now they talk over you. They cancel on you. They lie to your face and laugh behind your back because you're predictable. Because they know you'll forgive. Because you're safe, but no one respects safe. They use safe. They step on safe. They ignore safe. Respect doesn't come from how much you care. It comes from how dangerous you are when crossed and how silent you stay when betrayed. You think you're being the better man. You're not. You're being replaceable. Let me say it clearly. If they don't fear crossing you, they never valued staying with you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And here's why: love makes people feel good. Fear makes them think twice. Fear is not rage. It's not violence. It's control. It's the pause before they interrupt you. It's the silence after they disappoint you. It's the weight they feel when they realize he hasn't said a word. And yet I know I went afar. You don't need to yell. You don't need to punish. You need to master one thing: presence. Silent, unshakable, dangerous presence. That's how fear is built. Not in outbursts, but in what you refuse to explain. Not in punishment, but in your ability to disappear emotionally without a sound. When people feel that shift, that sudden cold from you pulling back, they'll never forget it. They'll adjust their tone. They'll rethink their disrespect, and they'll wonder what happens next. That wondering, that discomfort, that's power. Because when people don't know what you'll do, they do less to provoke you. And that's the core of control. Predict nothing. Withhold everything. React never. You don't lead with anger. You lead with consequence. So next time someone disrespects you, don't react. Let the silence hit harder than any reply. Let them feel your absence before you even leave. Let them fear what you're capable of without ever showing it. Because when you do, you're no longer safe. You're necessary. You're respected. And most of all, you're no longer the one they laugh at. You're the one they calculate around. When you speak your pain, you surrender your power. Public complaining is one of the fastest ways to lose respect without even realizing it. We've all seen someone venting loudly about their boss, their relationship, or their struggles, thinking they're being authentic. But authenticity without discipline isn't strength. It's leakage. Machiavelli would consider this a rookie mistake. Complaining in public does two dangerous things at once. It reveals that you are not in control of your environment. It signals that you expect others to care. And those two things are deadly for anyone who wants to cultivate power. In reality, no one admires someone for suffering out loud. They pity them, then label them as emotionally leaky and unfit for pressure. You don't inspire confidence. You inspire caution. People begin to avoid you not out of cruelty, but because they now associate you with burden. You become heavy, and heaviness is the enemy of influence. A leader is not defined by how they celebrate success, but how they carry silence and suffering. The more you speak about what's unfair, the more you admit you've lost control. Let me be clear. Power is quiet. Weakness is loud. Your complaints might be true. Your pain might be valid. But the moment you make it public, it stops being yours. It becomes gossip, judgment, weakness, and worst of all, ammunition. Don't hand people the bullets they'll later use against you. Men who understand power know this rule. If you must cry, cry in private. If you must rage, rage in silence. If you must suffer, suffer strategically. Don't tweet it. Don't group chat it. Don't monologue it in front of others hoping for comfort. Because the more noise you make about your struggle, the less control you appear to have over it. And control, not comfort, is what people follow. There's something terrifyingly powerful about the man who says nothing, shows nothing, but simply adjusts course and keeps moving. No theatrics, no pity party, no public therapy session, That man is unpredictable. That man is feared. That man is respected. The world does not reward the loud sufferer. It rewards the silent strategist. So when you're betrayed, mocked, exhausted, don't broadcast. Withdraw. Refocus. Reload. Say less. Move smarter. Look unshaken. Because they're not listening to comfort you. They're listening to calculate you. And if they know what breaks you, they know how to break you again. Hold your pain like a secret. Not because it's shameful, but because it's sacred. In the next part, we'll discuss how withholding your intentions is not manipulation, but a Machiavellian necessity. But for now, remember this: the less you complain, the more they wonder what you're planning, and wondering is where fear begins. Power isn't about what you say, it's about what they think you're thinking. The most feared man is not the one who threatens, it's the one who reveals nothing and lets others imagine the worst. Humans are terrible with uncertainty. Give them silence, and their mind fills it with monsters. Give them stillness, and they assume you're planning something. And the best part, you don't have to plan a thing. Machiavelli warned, a prince is always better protected when his intentions are hidden. Because when people know what you want, they can block it. When they know what hurts you, they can use it. But when they know nothing, they hesitate. And hesitation is control. Let me be clear. If they can predict you, they can prepare for you. If they can read you, they can resist you. So what do? You become unreadable. Not fake. Not vague. Strategically silent. You don't explain your plans. You don't defend your decisions. You don't fill in the silence after someone insults you. You let them sit in the silence, and they will fill it with their own guilt, fear, and projections. They will begin to second-guess themselves. Did I say too much? Is he angry? What is he thinking right now? That's the weapon, uncertainty. That makes people tiptoe around you. It makes them overthink. It forces them to respect space you didn't even ask for. Because while they talk, you observe. While they joke, you measure. While they explain, you calculate. You must become a mirror, one that reflects nothing back. The more blank you remain, the more they reveal, and they will. Because most people can't stand the silence of someone who doesn't need to be seen. They crave reaction. They need to know where they stand with you. When you don't give it, they become addicted to trying. Power is built not by explaining who you are, but by letting them wonder what you're capable of. So stop clarifying. Stop correcting their assumptions. Let them guess. Let them misjudge. Let them squirm. Your calm confuses them. Your mystery terrifies them. Your silence controls the entire room. In the next part, we'll discuss why over-explaining destroys presence and how those who say less get obeyed more. But for now, remember this: the less they know, the more they fear. And the more they fear, the more they respect. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. If they hear you too often, they stop listening. Words are cheap. Silence is expensive. And the more you speak, the more you dilute yourself. Modern culture glorifies expression. Speak your mind. Be vocal. Say what you feel. That advice works well if your goal is attention, but not if your goal is power. And power. Words are like currency. The more you print, the less they're worth. When you speak too much, people stop fearing your silence. When you explain too much, they stop respecting your decisions. When you fill every pause, you leave no room for mystery. And Machiavelli knew. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally after explaining. Because fools explain everything. They seek validation. They crave agreement. But a master knows, the less you say, the more weight every word carries. A short sentence from a man, a few words, lands like a hammer. A paragraph from a man who never shuts up evaporates on contact. When you lead, people must lean in to hear you, not lean back to escape you. Your silence should haunt them, not bore them. Let others debate. Let others justify. Let others show their hand too soon. You sit back. You listen. You calculate. And when you speak, every word must hit like a warning. Every pause must feel like a test. Here's the rule. You speak when the room is too noisy. Then you make it quiet forever. because nothing unnerves a room like the one who says very little, but changes the tone with one line. Think about the generals, the founders, the tacticians. They weren't talkative. They weren't emotional. They were cold, clear, deliberate, and that's the art you must master. You are not here to share opinions. You are here to shape perception. Let them fill the silence with assumptions. Let them beg for your insight. Let them fear the day you speak clearly, because they know, when you speak clearly, something is about to shift. And if they don't fear your voice, they've heard it too often. In the next part, we'll explore how stillness creates gravity and how presence, not volume, builds dominance. But for now, remember, your silence is not absence. It is dominance waiting to speak. If they hear you too often, they stop listening. Words are cheap. Silence is expensive. And the more you speak, the more you dilute yourself. Modern culture glorifies expression. Speak your mind. Be vocal. Say what you feel. That advice works well if your goal is attention, but not if your goal is power. And power. Words are like currency. The more you print, the less they're worth. When you speak too much, people stop fearing your silence. When you explain too much, they stop respecting your decisions. When you fill every pause, you leave no room for mystery. And Machiavelli knew. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally after explaining. Because fools explain everything. They seek validation. They crave agreement. But a master knows, the less you say, the more weight every word carries. A short sentence from a man, a few words, lands like a hammer. A paragraph from a man who never shuts up evaporates on contact. When you lead, people must lean in to hear you, not lean back to escape you. Your silence should haunt them, not bore them. Let others debate. Let others justify. Let others show their hand too soon. You sit back. You listen. You calculate. And when you speak, every word must hit like a warning. Every pause must feel like a test. Here's the rule. You speak when the room is too noisy. Then you make it quiet forever, because nothing unnerves a room like the one who says very little, but changes the tone with one line. Think about the generals, the founders, the tacticians. They weren't talkative. They weren't emotional. They were cold, clear, deliberate, and that's the art you must master. You are not here to share opinions. You are here to shape perception. Let them fill the silence with assumptions. Let them beg for your insight. Let them fear the day you speak clearly, because they know, when you speak clearly, something is about to shift. And if they don't fear your voice, they've heard it too often. In the next part, we'll explore how stillness creates gravity and how presence, not volume, builds dominance. But for now, remember, your silence is not absence. It is dominance waiting to speak. They're watching, not to see how great you are, but to see when you crack. That's the truth about public perception. No one's waiting for your victory. They're waiting for your collapse. People are drawn to strength, but obsessed with weakness. They don't follow you because you're good. They follow because they believe you won't break. The moment they see you flinch, tremble, lose composure, the illusion of control begins to die. And Machiavelli knew it. A leader must appear composed at all times, even in defeat, because appearance isn't a mask. It's a weapon, and in public, image is more real than reality. You can be losing behind the scenes, but if you look unshaken in public, people will still follow, still respect, still fear disappointing you. But the reverse, if you panic even when things are fine, you will bleed authority. You must become the man who stays calm when everyone else is collapsing. Why? Because fear is contagious, but so is composure. When others lose it, you slow down. When they raise their voices, you lower yours. When they react emotionally, you think strategically. Let the room spiral. You stay still. Stillness terrifies people more than rage ever could, because stillness signals calculation, and people fear what they can't read. Don't confuse this with indifference. Indifference is weakness. This is containment. You absorb pressure like armor. You endure humiliation like stone. You hold the line not for ego, but for power, because the one who does not crack under pressure becomes the one others rely on when everything falls apart. That's when loyalty deepens. Not when you're winning, but when you're losing and still look like the man who expected it. So next time you're in public and someone challenges you, mocks you, tests you, don't defend, don't react, don't crack, smirk, stay still, say nothing. Let your silence feel like a trap. Let your presence say, I saw this coming. Because the man who can suffer publicly without showing it is the man no one dares. Test twice. In the next part, we'll uncover how people weaponize their emotions to control you and how emotional distance becomes your shield. But for now, remember, pressure doesn't break powerful men. It reveals who was never powerful to begin with. The more they feel you, the more they control you. Emotion is a currency, and every time you respond emotionally, you're paying them with your control. Machiavelli understood this. The leader who becomes emotionally entangled becomes predictable, volatile, and easy to dismantle. If they can make you feel, they can make you move. And the man who can be moved emotionally is already defeated long before a blow is struck. People don't attack where you're strong. They attack where you care. That's why your enemy doesn't scream at your logic. They whisper to your heart. They provoke your wounds. They press on your loyalty, your empathy, your guilt. And if you flinch, if you react, they know where to strike next. But here's the shift. You don't stop feeling. You stop reacting. Emotional distance is not numbness. It's discipline. You feel everything, but you reveal nothing. Let them weep. Let them rage. Let them beg. You stay still, because the one who doesn't flinch in the storm commands the storm. And here's the brutal truth. Most people aren't manipulating you because they're evil. They're doing it because they're weak, and weakness always reaches for emotion when logic fails. It's not always about money or status or opportunity. Sometimes it's about control, emotional control. They want you to chase them. They want you to argue. They want you to beg. Because if you chase, they lead. But if you detach, you become unpredictable. The moment they don't know what moves you, they don't know how to move against you. So stop offering your emotional map. Stop broadcasting your vulnerabilities like a menu. Stop assuming they'll protect your feelings. They won't. You're not here to be understood. You are here to be respected. And respect is born not from loud emotion, but from controlled silence. Be polite, be calm, be precise, but be distant. Let them feel like they're never quite sure where they stand with you. That's how you maintain leverage. Because emotional clarity is connection. Emotional mystery is power. In the next part, we'll break down how withholding validation becomes the ultimate reward system, and why people become addicted to those who never fully approve. But for now, remember this. They can't hurt the man whose heart they can't reach, and that's what makes you untouchable. Once they think they know you, they stop respecting you. Familiarity breeds expectation. And expectation is the enemy of power. You cannot be feared if you are always predictable. You become routine. You become manageable. You become background noise. And Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. A man must become different from what he was, as circumstances dictate. Because true power doesn't move in straight lines. It pivots. It adapts. It keeps others guessing. Predictability breeds comfort. But fear lives in confusion. When people think they know your next move, they stop watching you. But when you break the pattern, you become dangerous again. Here's what you must understand. Control isn't just about dominance. It's about confusion. Make them unsure what version of you they'll get. The forgiving one, the ruthless one, the silent one, or the one who disappears without a word. Keep them guessing, and they'll keep their distance. Because people don't fear monsters. They fear unpredictability. The enemy you can see, you can prepare for. But the one who moves in silence, who doesn't respond the way you expect, becomes untouchable. So when they think you'll explain, smile. When they think you'll rage, whisper. When they think you'll stay, vanish. That uncertainty creates caution, and caution creates respect. Even loyalty, because the human mind craves order. And when it doesn't get it, It becomes obsessed with the source of chaos. That's why mystery seduces more than beauty. That's why silence speaks louder than shouting. That's why unpredictability is remembered longer than charisma. You don't have to be chaotic. You have to be deliberate. You control the illusion. You switch the masks. You hold the reins. They can't predict you. They can't prepare for you. They can't prepare for you. They can't beat you. In the next part, we'll explore how reward systems, not force, can lock loyalty deeper than fear itself, and why the most powerful figure gives just enough approval to keep others starving. For more. But for now, remember this. The man who becomes predictable is the man they no longer need to fear. People aren't loyal to kindness. They're loyal to scarcity. Anyone can give love. Anyone can give praise. But very few men can give it rarely and still make others beg for it. That's power. Machiavelli understood that fear alone creates obedience, but calculated validation creates obsession. The more predictable your praise, the less it means. You give approval too easily, you train them to expect it. You give it too frequently, you make it cheap. You give it without strategy, you lose leverage. Here's what real power understands. People don't crave what's abundant. They chase what's rare, especially when it comes from someone they fear disappointing. Your praise must feel like a currency, earned, uncertain, never guaranteed. And when you finally give it, it must feel like a beam of sunlight in a world of frost, but not too warm, just warm enough to make them work harder to feel it again. That's how you bind people without needing chains. When you really validate someone and they still chase your approval, you own their focus. You rent their identity, and that control, it's invisible because they think they're working hard. They think they're proving themselves. They don't realize they've already surrendered the most precious thing, their emotional dependence. You didn't demand their loyalty. You made them addicted to the idea of one more word from you. This doesn't mean withholding for cruelty. It means timing praise with precision. You praise when it elevates your influence. You praise when it corrects behavior. You praise when silence has done its work. Your word now lands like thunder. A quiet well done from the right man can become the fuel for someone's next 5 years. But a constant stream of approval? It breeds entitlement, not loyalty. So be generous with silence and stingy with praise. Let them wonder where they stand. Let them chase clarity. Let them feel that one word from you means more than a speech from 10 others. Because in leadership, the true reward is never given openly. It's hidden behind your expression, your silence, your selective nod. And when people crave it, you've already won. They don't need to love you. They just need to crave your approval. That is stronger. That is longer. That is loyalty. In the final part, we'll break down how fear and loyalty aren't opposites, but to halves of the same psychological lock, and why only those who balance both truly rule. But for now, remember, give just enough warmth to keep them chasing the fire. People believe fear destroys loyalty, that power and love can't share the same throne. They are wrong. The most dangerous leaders in history weren't just feared, they were worshipped, loved, adored, and still, disobeying them felt like suicide. Why? Because they didn't choose between fear and loyalty. They fused them strategically, deliberately, coldly. Fear makes you respected. Loyalty makes you followed. Together, they make you untouchable. If you only use fear, people obey until they have a chance to escape. If you only use love, people adore until it no longer serves them. But when your presence makes their heart race, and your praise makes their chest swell, you own them on both sides. They're afraid to lose you, but they also crave to please you. That's not morality. That's design. Machiavelli knew this truth, but most don't dare admit it. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But the elite, the ones who rule quietly and forever, don't choose. They create a hybrid, a presence that makes betrayal feel like self-destructs, a loyalty not based on values, but on psychological gravity. You don't demand obedience. They fear disappointing you. You don't beg for loyalty. They fear being forgotten by you. That's deeper than fear. That's more binding than love. It's Loyalty forged in the fire of consequence and cooled in the silence of calculated approval. It's why the coldest kings had the most loyal guards, why the silent generals had the most devoted men, why the ones who said little were the most feared and the most followed. You must embody contradiction, be ruthless, but not reckless, warm, but not weak, rewarding, but unpredictable, present, but never fully available. That is how legends walk among mortals. Because in the end, fear makes them watch you, loyalty makes them die for you. And if you craft them both with precision, you'll never need to raise your voice. You'll walk into rooms and everything will adjust around you. You'll speak once and they'll replay it for years. You'll disappear and they'll still ask, what would he have wanted? That's not leadership. That's legacy. Control isn't taken. It's built through fear that inspires respect and loyalty that is engineered, not earned. Let others play by ethics. You play by outcomes. Let them chase love. You create gravity. Let them fear failure. You become the one they fear losing. And that is how you rule from the shadows forever.